There we go. Now we have the record button going. So as long as we have the meetings recorded, typically within 24 to 48 hours, I'll get them posted into the group for you to review. So let's say we go through material today and you're like, wow, that was awesome. I want to go through it again, or there's some things I forgot or some things I want to remember. Then if you look here, you'll see, well, there was last Friday. And you'll go down here, oh, there was Thursday and there was Wednesday and so on and so forth. So the point I'm talking about is that you have the opportunity, if you miss something or you really like something, you can go back and review it. Okay, next thing I want to point out for you guys and gals is what we are going through right now. We are actually going through a book called Hidden Treasures. I want to show you how to get your own free copy, okay? What you can do is you can go to hiddentreasuresbook.com. That's hiddentreasuresbook.com. It'll look like this when it comes up. Scroll down a little ways to where it says click here for free download and go ahead and get a copy of the book. So why are we going through this book? Well, we're going through this book because Leslie Householder, who is the author, and actually happens to be a friend of mine, has done a phenomenally good job explaining the laws of the universe that govern manifesting more money and wealth in your life, as well as many other things. Most of you guys have heard of the law of attraction, but many of you don't recognize or didn't know that the law of attraction is actually a secondary law to the law of vibration. And there are additional laws that you need to understand and be obedient to if you're going to manifest what you want in your life. If you aren't following the laws, you can hurt yourself. The same way a child, if they don't understand what a hot stove can do to their hand, they could put their hand on a hot burner or stove and they're going to burn themselves and get hurt. Okay. That doesn't mean that the baby was bad. The baby didn't know any better what it was doing. But when it did what it did, it got harmed, okay? Same thing goes with gravity. A lot of times babies will climb up onto things and they will fall down, not just from like trying to walk or whatever, but they'll climb onto a table or a chair and they don't have balance and they will fall off and hit the ground. Well, that's because of the law of gravity. It doesn't matter that the baby's innocent, the law still takes effect and the baby still gets hurt. So there are laws out there that if we obey them, they will bring us money and wealth. And those same laws, if we disobey them, will take it away from us or make sure we never have it, okay? Or make it very difficult to acquire. So we want to understand how all the laws that govern receiving what we want work instead of just the law of attraction, because there is more to it than simply that. The other thing we also want to do too is understand how our mind works and get our subconscious mind programmed to help us instead of fight against us. So this particular book, Leslie is explaining the additional laws, not just the law of attraction, which would be the law of vibration, but all the laws that are necessary to understand and follow if you want to manifest into your life the things you truly want. And Leslie and I have both been trained by a gentleman by the name of Bob Proctor. Don't know if you've heard of Bob Proctor or not. He has his own book called You Were Born Rich. However, the way a lot of people know who he is he's highlighted very heavily in both the movie and the book, The Secret. So Bob has been in the personal development field now and studying this type of material and then helping others, coming up on 60 years. That's a long time. He's going to be 87 in July. So he's been helping people for a long time. Well, both Leslie and I have been trained to be coaches and facilitators for Bob's programs. And then over time, we've gone independent. So Leslie is someone who has been a colleague. We've gone back and forth and helped each other, coaching each other. And she's also been somebody that I've looked up to because she actually dove into this material before I did and got a head start on me. Okay, we're both doing great now. We're both, like I said, law of attraction coaches. And this particular book that she has, she sells it on Amazon, but I just showed you how to get it for free. She's been selling it for years. And I want to show you where we are in the book because we started a few days ago. It's got 115 pages in the PDF document. We're on page number 56, and we're actually somewhere in the middle of a particular chapter, okay? What I recommend that you do is get a copy, get caught up with us, maybe go back and watch some of the videos or all the videos related to this book, because it will definitely help you understand things that you may not know right now and help you move out of frustration because you don't even know that you're disobeying laws that are keeping you from getting the good that you want, okay? I'm going to leave this right here so you can see it just like I can. So if you want to go download it now, great, and follow along. However, if you decide to do it later, remember it's hiddentreasuresbook.com. For now, I'm going to start reading, and then I will share commentary where I think it will be helpful for us and helpful for you to understand what it is we're going through. And then we're going to leave somewhere typically around 10 to 15 minutes towards the end for you guys to share what you want to share and ask whatever questions you want to ask. That seems to be one of the most valuable things that we do each day that we come together. And obviously, I'm not majorly surprised or anything, but we're a little bit lighter in numbers today due to the holiday. But what that tells me is you are supposed to be here. Law of Attraction has brought you here. So there's probably something you were meant to be exposed to today that you wouldn't have if you weren't here today. So I congratulate you on either waking up a little bit earlier or just finding time in your day to be committed to your own personal development. Okie dokie. So I'm going to just jump in right here and get going with it. How is it drawn to you? Like a radio transmitter, we send out vibrations. These vibrations just fly on by as they pass things that are not in tune with your frequency. But they resonate with things that are in tune. People, situations, things, anything we need to have, or anything we need to have our desire fulfilled will be drawn to us when we are in tune with that which we desire. Now go back in your mind to the first part of this law, which states everything vibrates. Remember, things that vibrate rapidly are more fluid or even outright invisible than the same things vibrating more slowly. Your thoughts are flighty, are they not? Or am I the only one that struggles to focus on any one thought? Well, here's something to think about. Thoughts are things that are at a very high rate of vibration. Essentially, they're invisible. We would like to see them become real. That's kind of a funny way to put it. It is like saying ice is real, but vapor isn't, which is ridiculous, actually. Your thoughts are just as real as vapor is. As you hold them in your mind and allow yourself to feel how it will be when they are with you, you're putting yourself in a vibration that is in harmony with the physical counterpart of that idea. Okay, let's repeat this. So you come up with something that you want. As you hold them in your mind and allow yourself to feel how it will feel when they are with you, you are putting yourself in a vibration that is in harmony with the physical counterpart of the idea. If it already exists in physical form somewhere, then the vibrations you send out are putting into motion the events necessary to bring it to you. If it does not already exist, then your thought is directly responsible for the co-creation of the thing. Think about that. If something has already been made and created, and that's a thought that you're holding on to, become in vibration with, you are actually bringing it towards you and you towards it. If it's something that doesn't actually currently exist, then you are co-creating with God in the universe to actually make that thing become a reality. And the people, places, things, ideas, resources, knowledge, wisdom, and whatnot to make that creation happen will be brought together for its formation and eventually its physical manifestation. You'll be drawn to the people or things you need to cause its creation. This is a law you can depend on. Really, you can count on it. There is no need for fear or worry or doubt. These are negative vibrations that repel the very things you want and need. Why sabotage the creative process? A word about what we deserve. Should we want better things? Do we deserve a better life? We are children of a God. He would have us enjoy all the blessings we're capable of appreciating. Notice how she mentioned here, I like how she worded it. Okay. He would have us, so God would have us, the universe would have us, however you choose to see God, your higher power, whatever you choose. He would have us enjoy all the blessings. Which kind of blessings, though? We need to allow ourselves to feel comfortable with more. Okay. We actually have to allow ourselves to feel comfortable with more. And our subconscious mind is going to need to be reprogrammed in order for that to happen. To think that the nicer Suburban was too good for me was a borderline insult to God, as if his child wasn't worthy of having a respectable vehicle. I know if any of my children were to turn away a gift with the comment, "I'm not good enough for something so nice," I would feel sadness, wouldn't you? You may wish for a nicer home in a safer neighborhood. But if you keep thinking you don't deserve one, you'll never receive it. Even if you did, you wouldn't feel at home there. It just wouldn't feel right. God does not give you prosperity if you're repelling it. It would violate law for him to do so. Let me repeat that. God does not give you prosperity if you are repelling it. It would violate law for him to do so. Doubt not. Fear not. Oh, how he wants to bless you. All you have to do is believe, and he will do it. Doubt not, fear not. It's not good for you. You'll wish you hadn't. For verily I say unto you that whatsoever ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast in the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that these things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So, is my idea okay? Do you worry that you shouldn't desire something that is not God's will for you? That is a worthy concern. For what shall profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? You're always invited to determine if something is in harmony with God's will for you. This can only increase your faith that you will receive it. So by all means, pray about it. How can you recognize an answer? Determine in your own mind what you think is right, and then go to him and tell him what you've concluded. Ask if your conclusion is accurate, and pay attention to your very first feelings. If it is right, you'll feel peace and love. If it is wrong, you will feel confusion. Be attentive to the first feelings. Notice them, because it's easy to second guess and confuse the thoughts beyond that initial moment. Trust these feelings. Accept them as literal communication with your Father in heaven. Oh, what comfort there is in genuine humble prayer. Behold, you have not understood. You have supposed that I would give it unto you when ye took no thought save it was to ask me. But behold, I say unto you that you must study it out in your mind. Then you must ask me if it be right. And if it is right, I will cause that your bosom shall burn within you. Therefore ye shall feel that it is right. But if it be not right, you shall have no such feelings. But you shall have a stupor of thought that shall cause you to forget the thing which is wrong. Remember the difference between saying, please do such, and saying, will you please do such and such? When you phrase it that way, then await the answer. You can allow yourself to feel the emotions at that point in your prayer, seeing it done and feeling the gratitude. If you can generate those feelings at the moment, accept it as the confirmation you seek. If you feel confusion and cannot even remember what you came to ask for, then accept it as his message, encouraging you to perhaps try asking differently, or even have the courage to ask if the thing is not his will for you. By approaching this as a sort of 20 questions game, you can, through the Spirit, partner with the Lord to create a beautiful future. I believe it's safe to say that our Heavenly Father has a much grander vision for who we are to become, even than our own loftiest imaginings. In fact, as you make attempts to find answers through prayer, remember this: we have a radio set called prayer. Successful communication with God does not depend on Him, it depends on us. He stands at the door and knocks, but He does not force Himself in. We must put ourselves in tune with Him. How? We change our vibration through deep and profound gratitude. Remember the law of relativity, which helps us accomplish this? Always express sincere gratitude in prayer before presenting requests. It will help us be in tune and more completely prepared for an answer. At one time, a leader named Moroni offered this insightful guidance about how to discern truth. Behold, I would exhort you that when you shall read these things, if it be wisdom in God that you shall read them, that you would remember how merciful the Lord has been unto the children of men, from the creation of Adam even down to the time that you shall receive these things and ponder it in your hearts. He says we must think about the Lord's mercy before presenting our request. He continues, and when you shall receive these things, I would exhort you that you would ask God, the eternal Father, in the name of Christ, if these things are not true. And if you shall ask with a sincere heart, with real intent, having faith in Christ, He will manifest the truth of it unto you by the power of the Holy Ghost. And by the power of the Holy Ghost, you may know the truth of all things. This formula works for any wisdom that we seek from God. Express gratitude. Ask with a sincere heart, following the pattern described, and receive the answer. Why does it work? Here's why. If you think of the Lord's mercy since the beginning of time and ponder on it, you will generate a feeling of gratitude, which puts you in harmony with God and prepares you to feel an answer when you ask for one. Take a moment to try to be better in tune with Him as you express gratitude. Here for as many things as you can express gratitude here for as many things as you can think of, or ideally in your personal journal. Remember, a genuine feeling of gratitude will begin the movement of greater blessings toward you by law. So this would be a good exercise for you guys to do today when we're done. Just take out a piece of paper and write down what you're grateful for. Knowing what you know now about the law of vibration, isn't it easier to comprehend the miracles related in the scriptures? Does it mean that with this knowledge we can cause miracles in our own life? Well, with the Lord's help, yes. On our own, heavens no. Acknowledging our dependence on Him, on God in the universe, is an attitude of humility we must maintain throughout our life, no matter how prosperous we become. Too many people stumble onto these principles and thus prosper, and then conclude that they did it on their own, only to set themselves up for a potentially terrible fall. Stay humble and grateful. Always remember, He who delivered you from bondage. Put yourself in the right vibration. Draw near to God and to prepare yourself for the circumstances you desire. Just as an acorn planted in the earth does not have to fight and claw the dirt to find what it needs in order to become a great oak, neither do we need to stress or worry about our needs. If we plant a good idea in our fertile mind, casting away doubt seeds and weeds, the idea cannot help but grow and become what its blueprint contains. All that an acorn needs is drawn to it by natural law. Your life will move in the direction of your dominant thought. So plant the idea seed in your mind. Do not pull it out with your doubt. And with gratitude and emotion, you can put yourself into harmonious vibration with the physical counterpart of the new idea. And life will orchestrate all the elements you need in order to see the idea come true. Not until the image is firmly planted in our mind does the way present itself. This is something that everybody needs to pay attention to. It has to be firmly planted in our mind, okay? Not just a seed sticking up on top of the sand. That idea needs to be firmly planted in our mind. We're looking for the how before we even decide if we want to plant the seed. That's where we mess up. Or we put the seed, we drop the seed on the ground and wait a day and it doesn't grow into a tree and we wonder why. We don't know how to get what we want because the way has not presented itself because we have not firmly planted the image in our mind, okay? Too many people wait to see a way before striving for significant change in their life. I will do this when this happens. No, make the decision. You're going to do what you're going to do, and the way for it to happen will present itself. That's backwards, just as the leaf elements and the bark molecules will not begin to come together until the seed is planted. Acorn here. The acorn, by being in vibration, doesn't have to, the acorn just by being what it is, vibrates a certain way. That vibration attracts the elements necessary. When my good friend Marnie decided to start dreaming a little bigger with her new understanding of the laws, she envisioned her acres of property with a fence and horses. The fence alone was going to cost a fortune, but she chose to disregard the facts at hand and spend her energy building the dream. Then one day she received a phone call and was asked if she would be willing to board some horses on her property if the horse owners were willing to put up the fence themselves. What did Marnie do to realize her dream? She visualized it and felt grateful for it before it was a physical reality. She rejected all doubt, fear, impatience, and frustration. She believed, not having any clue how the dream would come true in her life. In a book titled Drawing on the Powers of Heaven, Grant von Harrison explains, the thought process itself is the key to exercising faith. Your life is influenced more by your own thoughts than anything else. He continues, faith can be gauged to a great extent by the amount of time spent thinking about your righteous desire. Our thoughts have a greater effect on our circumstances than most people realize. We are not at the mercy of exterior events. We are the masters of our future. Like the rudder on a large ship, our lives are steered by our thoughts. The more we control our thoughts, the more our circumstances will act. Consider the lilies how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind, but rather seek ye the kingdom of God. Seek to be connected with God in the universe, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The Sea of Galilee principle. So what is the principle behind making room for the new? Think of this. Have you ever really looked at a map of Israel? The Jordan River is fed from the north. It flows through the Sea of Galilee and continues south where it ends in the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is lower than sea level and keeps all the water that flows into it, only releasing water through evaporation. Think of these two different bodies of water as two different kinds of people that we can be. Sea of Galilee, excellent climate, fertile, produces large crops, abundant fisheries, great, great source of wealth, large export trade, only approximately 85 miles square, relatively small, 680 feet below sea level, place where Christ performed miracles. So the Sea of Galilee, the Dead Sea, much larger. Okay. The Sea of Galilee personified, cheerful disposition, excellent climate, productive, prosperous, makes significant contribution, humble, relatively small, 1,290 feet below sea level, place of God's judgment on Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboam, Zar, and Bela. Dead Sea personified, not so pleasant disposition, hot climate, fails to nourish and grows good seed and grow good seeds. May seem great and significant, but actually operates on a lower plane in many ways than a humble person, approximately 600 feet deeper below sea level than Galilee. It hoards what it receives, no outlets, and ends up losing anyway. Anything that does remain lends to unhappiness and dissatisfaction, mineral deposits rendering the land sterile, a life in danger of God's judgment. In the same water and the same source of blessings, or it's the same water and same source of blessings, but handles the blessing differently. For Christians, this metaphor is especially meaningful because Christ is so often referred to as the living water. As we are letting blessings flow through us, are we letting blessings flow through us, bringing us even greater abundance, or are we stingy and selfish, bringing us desolation? Give and make room for more. Repeat that. Give and make room for more. Trust that God will replenish that which you give. Make the investment into yourself and your learning, and trust that God will quickly replenish it. You'll be reminded of this principle when we discuss the bonus vacuum law of prosperity at the end of the book. The next chapter will teach you about the law of polarity, which is what you will need to know when unforeseen things happen to thwart your plan for prosperity, which they will. Okay, so we're going to stop there for today with our reading. Good to see we've had some folks join us since we originally got started, some additional people. Okay, let me explain what we're going to do at this point. For those that are new with us today, welcome if you are. So this is our opportunity for sharing and for asking questions, and we are a smaller group today. So that makes it even easier for you guys to ask your questions because you'll probably all get that opportunity if you like to. So what is appropriate to share and what are appropriate questions to ask? So what's appropriate to share would be anything in relationship to what we just went over today. Meaning if you got some kind of aha as we were reading, or if it struck a chord with you, if you're like, that's exactly what I've been doing right, or possibly maybe that's what I've been doing wrong, share that, because everybody learns from those situations when you can share. What else is appropriate to share would be anything in relationship to what we've been going over together as a group in the past. And we've been going now, we have now finished 4 weeks and we're into week number 5. Also, what would be totally cool to share is if you've intentionally made a decision that you wanted something in your life to manifest, and the manifestation process actually worked out for you and you received it. Sharing those stories helps increase people's faith and belief. Okay, appropriate questions to ask. Well, anything in regards to the material that we just went over today, anything in regards to what we've been going over the previous 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it's been now, I kind of lost track. And or anything in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth into your life. I recommend that you use this time wisely, and don't just let it be strictly silence. If there's anything on your mind in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life or receiving things in your life that you want, and you have not received what you want yet, then that means you probably ought to be asking questions and definitely interacting. And if you are phenomenally good at it already, please share with us what you do. Okay. So this is your opportunity to share what you would like to share and or to ask whatever questions you would like to ask. All you need to do is come off mute and start sharing, please.
Hi, Kevin. It's Sunshine. How are you?
Hey, awesome. Nice to have some sunshine in our life today.
Thanks. I wanted to know if you're living with people, how much of their vibration, like how can you shift the atmosphere to make sure that their vibration is not pulling in unwanted things?
Okay. So vibration, there's going to be a naturalness to some of this. Okay. Yeah, there's things you can do. But now, are you talking about family members? Are you talking about who's living with you, I guess, first?
So I have some roommates that in my new apartment. So
Okay.
one's a roommate and one's my partner.
Okay. So hopefully you and your partner already get along well, as far as roommates go. But if you're talking about vibration, in the long run, if you're not in vibration with someone and they aren't with you, for moments or whatnot, you can be in each other's presence. But ultimately, you will repel each other if you're in different vibrations anyway. And one of you will end up going away at some point. Okay. But as far as controlling your own vibration, the best thing that you can do that I would recommend that you do is insulate yourself. Okay. Put yourself and create a routine that fills your tank up. Think of yourself like a car that needs to be filled up every day. Or if you prefer an electric vehicle, you got to get plugged in. Or think of yourself like a cell phone, right? You've only got so much charge before you're going to get worn out if you're in the presence of people that are in a vibration that's in opposition to yours. So first of all, you want to make sure you're always plugged in, so to speak. Or if you can't stay plugged in, make sure that you're not waiting till your tank hits an eighth of a tank before you're trying to fill it up. I'd prefer, if you want to use a visual, is never let your tank go below half. Never think of your gas tank. How many times have you? We're all a little different. Some people are in the habit of topping it off every time they get a chance. And some people wait until the light comes on and goes, okay, now it's time to fill up. You're playing with danger with your own vibration if you're playing that game. But if you're always keeping it up to the highest that it can be, if you don't let it go below half before you start filling it up, you'll never start really getting sucked into the negative, because you're more positive than negative inside of yourself. But if you go below half, now, let's say you're down to 49%, well, you now have an opening for 51%. And if you don't fill that 51% with what you want it to be filled with, then the environment around you is going to fill up that 51%. Now, if you put yourself in a reasonably good environment, that could actually be okay. But if you're in an environment that actually fills it up with bad gas or fills it up with water instead of gas when your motor needs gas, then you're going to struggle through that. So when I say create a routine, you know pretty much day to day what your life is going to be like. You know what these people that you're around are like. You can change your environment for sure. But for now, I would say that, okay, what fills up my tank? I would figure out what fills up your tank. There's a few things that will fill your tank up much more quickly than others. And there's one thing that most of you don't do often enough to fill up your tank, especially if you're that A-type personality that's always going after what you want. Okay. And what is that? You don't intentionally go have fun. You don't intentionally say, I'm going to do something. A lot of times it's, I'll go have fun after I do whatever it is, after I make more money, after I finish the work today, after. We were kind of taught by parents maybe that we don't get dessert until after dinner. Well, the type of dessert that I'm talking about, you should have anytime you want it. You should have your dessert before dinner. You should have your dessert because it's actually not bad for you. It gives you a boost and a lift. One of the times that I've typically manifested the most cool things and money in my life was when I was on vacation. I've manifested more big chunks of money while I was actually vacationing than almost any other time. Why is that? My vibration was unbelievably good. I was having a great time, and I was letting go of whatever it was that I was wanting, and God in the universe worked it out while I was gone. And while I've been out on vacation, it's not unusual for me to receive a text, phone call, or email from a potential client or somebody I'm going to do business with telling me, hey, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to send the money, this, that, or the other. Happens all the time and in great amounts. Why again did it happen? Because I was having a good time. I was having fun. I was focused on positive, uplifting thoughts. But as far as a routine goes, make sure that you start your morning off filling up your tank. And then make sure, sometimes think about this, your mileage on your car actually varies depending on if you're driving on the highway or the city. Also, if you're going uphill or downhill. Well, if you're having the kind of day that is working out and it feels like you're going uphill, chances are you're using your gas up faster, just like in a regular vehicle. You're going uphill, climbing a hill in most vehicles is going to use more gas than going flat and going straight, and definitely more gas than going down a hill, right, in neutral, which is really not going to use any gas. Well, if you're dealing with people that are like that, you might want to go top off your tank 2 or 3 times a day. You might want to pull out a gratitude list and not just write one in the morning. You might want to write one in the afternoon. You might want to write one in the evening. There's no rule on when you should or should not. However, my biggest rule would be don't let yourself get below half before you do something about it. Always be topping off your vibrational tank and filling yourself up. Does that help?
Oh, yeah, that helps a lot. So, and as you were saying that, it reminded me of something that Bob Proctor said, which was make your schedule tight. I know I've had a little bit of trouble with that because sometimes as a free spirit, like if I get too much in a schedule, I literally start rejecting and like just getting mad. So I've been kind of like, okay, how can I keep my schedule tight and also, do the due diligence of being consistent as well as not making myself get mad because I'm just repeating life and I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day.
Yeah, well, the other thing too that all of us have control, we all have control over a lot of things, what we think we have control over, whether you believe that or not yet, okay? But we do. One of the things that we can do, being that free spirit, I am too. I've built my life in such a way that I don't work what other people would consider full-time hours, okay? For 16 plus years now, I have not hit 40-hour weeks. It's been more like 15 to 20, maybe bumps up all the way to 25 on an occasion, okay? But so that means I have a lot of time to do what I want to do. Well, if I'm going to be doing things that I want to do, I'm still wise to choose things that don't empty my tank, right? Anything that makes my spirit suffer because I'm filling myself up with it, it's going to harm me. I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but think about some of you guys, and I'm not judging what you do or don't watch, kind of same thing, you could judge me, all right? But I'm saying that if I'm going to bed and the last thing I'm thinking about was, for instance, Criminal Minds, okay, and I watch that show and go right to bed, and that's my nightly habit. Even if most of the day I'm, usually putting good stuff in, well, if I stick Criminal Minds in right before I go to bed, what did I leave my subconscious mind to work with is the last thing I gave. I filled it up with exactly what I don't want to happen in my life, right? So why would I do that? Well, sometimes we just mindlessly do things because we're filling up space because it's empty versus choosing what goes in when the space is empty. When we've got time to do things or we create time for ourselves, it should be to put good stuff in and or to be having fun. But again, the kind of fun that when we're done, we feel recharged. We might be tired because it was physical, all right? But we have this recharge sort of thing that goes on because of the fun that we have. But if we're filling ourselves, our mind full of garbage throughout the day, or we're filling it mostly good, but then we purposely take 1 or 2 or 3 hours straight and mindlessly go through Facebook, that is not going to help you manifest what you want. So you just have to recognize that your mind and what you think is going to create what you feel. What you feel is what's going to impress on energy, formless substance, and what God and the universe are going to deliver you is going to mirror back to you essentially the essence of what you're feeling. So just be on purpose about what you're doing. If you think about most people that are successful, pro athletes or whatnot, they are highly focused on their craft because they have a specific outcome they're trying to achieve. And they may not use the word manifest, okay, but they know that if they go off and do certain things and they don't practice, they're going to get their butt whipped when it's time to play in the championship game. And it's only going to be their fault, not somebody else's fault that they lost, because they let their mind go somewhere else. And you can watch that right now. If I'm watching occasionally some of the NBA playoffs. I like the NBA, and you can see when people go off and when they're not in the flow with what their craft is because they're letting other things distract them.
So done with?
Yep.
You got something, Liz, or are you just off of mute?
I'm off of mute, sorry.
Okay.
I do have something though.
That helps so much. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What you got, Liz? Or are you still going, Sunshine?
Nope, I was just saying thank you.
You're very welcome. What you got, Liz?
I was just gonna say the part that you're talking about the Dead Sea was pretty impactful for me, just because I think of my own life experiences that I've been through on my travels and whatnot, and that was probably the lowest time in my life. Even though I was traveling and I was doing all this stuff, the personal experience I was going through at that time was like I was actually at the Dead Sea itself.
Okay.
So
okay.
I just found it interesting, the energy that surrounds it was kind of mirrored in my own personal life.
So you were physically there and you felt kind of a drain being there?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, guys, stay away from the Dead Sea. You're
I
going to go
mean,
to Israel.
It was awesome, but then at the same time, I just physically and emotionally felt drained. I felt like I just didn't feel like connected like to spirit as I should have been, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, hey, it's real stuff, right? I mean,
yeah,
just using that example, and it's a vibrational thing. If the other thing too, there's a thing is hoarding, but there's also a fear of losing out that a lot of people have. They have a certain amount of stuff and they're like, well, I'm not going to do anything different until I get more, particularly money. People will be like, I'm not going to take what I have because I don't know where the next thing is going to come from. Okay. The problem is with that attitude and fear, you are going to put yourself, and I'm not saying you specifically, Liz, any human being is going to put themselves in a position when they do that to lose what they've already got. If you are afraid that, so you're holding on to the extra 1,000 or 2 or 5 or whatever in your life, I'm just going to make up a number. Let's say it costs $4,000 a month to pay your living expenses for your family, whoever you are. Some of you, it's going to be less. Some of you, it's going to be more. Okay. And you have an opportunity that comes up to better your life, but you keep skipping those opportunities because if I do and I don't move forward, that money will be gone. And then how am I going to pay this, that, or the other? a lot of people will go through the cycle of going down to zero constantly. They will take themselves and whatever savings, whatever thing that they had for their rainy day fund, well, it will for sure, the universe is going to make sure it rains.
Yes, I can attest to that.
Yeah. Versus, okay, you know what? I'm going to step out on faith here. I really feel I'm supposed to do this thing. And my choices are, go take a credit card or take savings or sell something or whatever, because it's an investment into me, which most people aren't very good at doing for themselves. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to turn to God, because God's the one who's telling me to take advantage of this, and say, I trust you. I trust you, God, in the universe, to very quickly and immediately replenish what I'm using, because I'm stepping out on faith. And then stay focused on the choice you made as a good thing and celebrate it, instead of going back to, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But what too many people do is they keep playing, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, with whatever little bit it is they have over here. And what happens is now the opportunity pops up, but you didn't take advantage of it. And I just talked to somebody this week, this happened to him. 2 weeks later, bam, truck gets broken into. And he ended up having to, and he was guided. This person shared with me, they were guided. They were told to get an alarm for their truck. They knew God in the universe told them, get an alarm. And they said, well, I'm not going to get an alarm because I only have this much money and I don't know when my next job is going to happen just yet. So when I get more money, I'll get the alarm. The alarm was going to cost $1,200. They didn't go get the alarm. The van got broken into and $800 worth of tools got stolen. And he ended up having to fix what was broke when it got broken into and replace the tools. And when all was said and done, it ended up costing about $1,200, which was the amount of money he could have just got the alarm for, and then his tools would have been safe. You guys are doing that sometimes when God in the universe is trying to deliver you somebody like me to help you out. But you're like, oh, when I can save up enough or do enough, then I'll take care of myself. No, trust God in the universe. If they already are telling you do it, then they have to provide the way for it to happen if you have faith that they will. So you step out and do what is necessary. And I've watched almost every single time when people have stepped out like that some way, shape, or form will happen to take care of it and replenish those funds.
So for me, this is Liz again. I keep getting a block. Like, I feel like I have those ways are provided. Like, just as an example, I got a new client last week and she's like, yeah, I'm ready to get started. And it was like the exact amount of money that I was like, okay, sweet. This is the way, this is how it's going to be provided for. And then lo and behold, she never paid me. Mm-hmm. So I'm still creating a block within myself that even though I'm like, okay, God, provide a way if this is the way that I'm supposed to go. And then there's still some resistance in me that's creating that or stopping that from being able to come in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
so it's like one step forward and 2 steps back is what it feels like still.
For every one of you, you haven't decided. You might think you have, but you haven't made the decision. It's when the decision is made 100%, then God in the universe will provide the way. Until we make the decision, and the decision is a no matter what decision.
Yeah.
When it's a no matter what decision, it'll work out and it'll feel a bit scary. But you know what? Haven't we hit zero? Who knows how many times in our life we've hit zero anyway? How many more times do we want to? So when the chance to take advantage of something exists, do it. Even if you're like, but I only got this much behind me. If it's meant to improve your life, do it. If it feels right from God, do it. That doesn't mean you won't have some fear and some worry and concern. But if you're told this is the path to take and you're like, I don't know how to take advantage of it, you probably already have a way. It's just uncomfortable right now. It might be stepping out and doing things that you told yourself you weren't going to do. Okay. As long as it's not selling drugs and prostituting ourselves, we should probably do it. Okay. But other than, that type of thing, you know, when we're guided and directed by God in the universe to take action, to get help, to receive what God's trying to give to us, and we reject it, it always turns out poorly. And we will go through that lesson multiple times, multiple weeks, multiple months, multiple years, until we finally start turning around and going, okay, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to step out and do it. And I don't know exactly, but I'm trusting you. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to choose to believe. And I'm going to talk to whoever it talks to. If it was my choice between having to sit in jail and I can't leave being in jail until I come up with X amount of money, whatever that amount is, and I'm in a very dangerous jail. I'm in jail because our life is, we are kind of in jail when we're in bondage to money and things like this when we have our thoughts incorrect. So we are actually in jail. Well, a lot of us are like, we think, well, I'll take care of stuff when I have the means to take care of it. No, you'll find the means to take care of it when you want it bad enough. If you're sitting in jail and let's say it's mistaken identity, you didn't go do anything wrong, but you look exactly like somebody else who did. You live in the same area, your voice sounds the same, your physical appearance looks like somebody else, and they throw you in jail and they're trying to figure it out, but they don't know. And it's going to be at least 2 weeks before they figure it out. 2 weeks before they're going to be able to figure it out. And you're not just in a jail cell by yourself, but you're in a jail cell with the most dangerous criminals that could possibly be there. The ones that usually, if you're in a jail cell with them more than 24 hours, you're not going to end up anywhere but the hospital or dead. And you had to come up with whatever the amount of money it was to get out of there. You'll get it all back. You just have to give it to them now. They'll let you out on bail. Bam, you're out. Soon as they receive the money, you're out. But you can't get out on your own without paying them for 2 weeks unless you pay the bail, even though you did nothing wrong. If you don't pay that bail and the people in that jail cell with you are basically, it's life or death situation for you, how long are you going to sit in that jail cell before you come up with whatever it is you have to come up with? It's life or death. Or what if it was the life or death of one of your kids? What if it was life or death of one of your kids? Now you say, Kevin, that you're being really extreme about this. Well, how often have you lived the dead life, right? How often have you repeated over and over and over again the life that you don't want to live any longer? You just keep getting thrown in the cell and getting whooped on and then getting let out 2 weeks later, feeling like you just got, you nearly died. Well, your spirit is sort of dying every time you deny it what it wants, what it truly wants. And when God and the universe are trying to provide it and you keep telling them no, your spirit, the light just goes out a little bit more and a little bit more. Now, good thing is it can't go down to totally zero. So, but how many times do we have to go through that process before we say, okay, fine, you know what, I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to live the life I really want to live. And that decision gets made. You will find the way to do it. Like I said, short of selling drugs and prostitution or something, you'll find a way to do it. You will talk to people you don't want to talk to. You will ask for things you don't want to ask for because you feel embarrassed. But you know what? God and the universe will have your back and they'll replenish you for stepping out on faith. If you will let them. Happens every time you let them. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. So everybody here has the ability to be, do, or have whatever they want in their life. But you need to make up your mind that I'm going to have it. Enough is enough. No more excuses. No more I'll do it when. Because that typically, it might come around. Somebody, a year and a half from now might gift you money for Christmas and you can finally do maybe something you wanted to do. But chances are, if you don't take advantage of it right then, either something will happen and you'll get a flat tire and then you'll have to go replace a tire for $400. Let God and the universe provide you with everything you need so that when you need to spend $400 or $500 or $5,000 on something or $10,000, it's not that big a deal to you. How much longer in your life do you want anywhere from $500 to $10,000 to $20,000 be such a big deal to come up with, especially if any of us are over the age of 40. If we can't come up with that kind of money and we're over the age of 40, then we're not going to make it to retirement doing what we're doing successfully. Because when in the world over the next few years are we going to save that up? We actually have to have a total shift in our programming. Once we get our programming shift, we understand the laws and we get reprogrammed subconsciously, we're off to the races. But don't try and just do it on your own. It takes way too long. It does. It takes years and years and years to figure stuff out on your own when you could figure it out in a matter of weeks or months with the help of somebody that knows how to guide and direct what you're doing. So that I'm kind of going on here, but I just want you to understand that there's a lot of fear out there. And the only way to get through that is to put some more faith and trust in God and the universe, that they've got your back. Anybody have any other questions or comments?
Hey, Kevin, I do have a question. How do you, if you find yourself starting to take the steps needed to change your life, and you want to attract those people that are going to ease up the curving wave, or find those people that are going to help you elevate or just acquire the knowledge that you need in order for you to acquire more money or more wealth, or just like those things to you. How do you put yourself in how do you attract them to you? Like,
you just did. Is this your first time with us, Jason?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're talking to it right now. You've attracted this situation today to hear what you were meant to hear. So this is meant for you as well as for whoever else is on here. And you've got somebody right now who has not worked more than 15, 20 hours on average a week for the last 15 years, and whose income went from $5,000 to $6,000 a month and had a huge jump into the six-figure income area, and has been helping people do that for the last couple of years. I've owned a lot of businesses and things like that. Now, are you asking how do you find someone, or are you asking how you get somebody to do that for you for free?
No, how do I find people? Because I feel like at the end of
you found him. I'll take my email address down and we can have a conversation about coaching.
Sure, yes. Oh, okay, give me one quick second. Let me get my notes.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my email is coach.
Okay.
And then it's my name, Kevin Sparks.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
Perfect. I'm going to
just send me an email, say you'd like to talk to me about what the coaching process is, how it works, and leave me your phone number, and we'll hook up and have a conversation. And if you feel it's a good thing for you, then you'll do it. And if not, that's okay.
Perfect. I'm emailing you right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Kevin, how are you? It's Michelle.
Yes, Michelle. Hi.
Woo! Happy Monday.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. So I have problems I have an issue of, I visualize, but then my mind wanders, which I'm sure, a lot of people probably have that, but also I have a hard time holding the picture in my mind. How do you combat that? How do you not have problems doing that? How do you keep the vision in your mind's eye?
So let me give you, this is just something coming to my mind right now to share with you guys. Great question, by the way. Maybe if you look at it a little bit differently than you might be, you might not, one, stress as much, but it also might make more sense to you. Think of if you have a blueprint out there, but let's say it's in kind of black. It's a blueprint, but it's written in black instead of blue. And there's a reason I'm going to say that, okay? So this thing is drawn out, but you're having a hard time turning it into like real, right? Think of each time as you visualize, is you're adding just a little bit more color to it, right? So if you add color to it every night, every morning and every night, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, is the thing going to start looking more real as you do that over time?
Interesting.
Yeah, I know that's because this is what's, I'm feeling like guided to tell you this. This wasn't something I've told other people.
Okay.
So I think this is meant for you or somebody.
Thank you. Okay, that's really interesting. I like that.
But so don't stress about it. But here's the other thing I would think of it as, okay, so how, I would ask myself the question, how often am I actually allowed to go put some new color into the picture?
Oh,
Right? Am I limited to, let's see, visualizing in the morning for 10, 15 minutes before I go get up and start doing stuff, and then 5 or 10 minutes before I go to sleep? Or can I do it anytime I feel like? Well, anytime you feel like. Okay. So what's my limit there? Well, none. How long is it going to take the picture to fill out? Depends. Are you visualizing it a couple times a day, or are you visualizing it for hours at a time? Now, I'm not saying you can't live, you aren't going to go live your life, right? But if I have a choice with my time and my energy to focus on something like leisure, right? Watching TV, Netflix or something,
right.
or I choose to put 30 minutes into my visualization, do you think I'm going to add more color to the picture more quickly? Well, yeah. And also, is it going to start to feel more natural? And are you going to get more excited knowing that when the picture is full of color, that's when the thing is going to be sitting outside your door?
Ah, okay. I like that. Okay, yeah, interesting. Yeah, I do find that, I mean, I try to meditate every morning and every night. And like you mentioned that you watch a show before bed. I love scary movies. I have ever since I was young. I just love scary movies. But I always wonder, I wonder what that's putting into, my life or my whatever. But I do try to meditate before bed. So even after watching that, I'll try to put something on that's more positive. But I think I need to practice the visualization and then adding the color. And like you said, maybe eventually it will become more natural and it'll be easier. So I need to incorporate that, I think, into my routines.
Yeah. The other thing too, Michelle, is because I know you've been going through, some of the material I gave you, particularly that seminar.
Yes.
Wallace Wattles and the Science of Getting Rich talks about, until you get better at doing this, till you kind of have what you want and it's working for you, spend almost all of your leisure time contemplating the vision of what you want. Okay, going into your magic. Because again, what you just said, what he basically says, hey, look, do that and get rich. And then afterwards, go do whatever else it is you want to go do, because at least you accomplished your goal, right?
Right.
Think of it as an athlete getting ready for the season. There's an off season, right? For most sports where they're not that intense. Matter of fact, they get 2, 3, 4 months off. I mean, it's better that they don't sit at the buffet every day.
Right.
But for the most part, it's time off to do things that they want to do. Now they like their sport and stuff too, typically, or they don't do it. But then there's this training camp. Well, what was that for? Well, that was to get you, that they know you've been sediment for 3 to 4 or 5 months. I mean, some people aren't, but they know that some of them have. So they have this training camp. It goes on for 4 to 6 weeks, typically. And then they have this preseason, then they jump in the season, then they have championships and stuff, right?
Right.
Well, go for now, pretend like you were in training camp. And when you are in training camp, most of these training camp is actually, funny enough, the most intense part of the training of all of it. A game is a game. The game's the important thing. And then, of course, winning the championships or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the game is a game. A game lasts for X amount of time. It's X number of, it's every X number of days. And then you got a day off or whatever. It takes something out of you, but it's not as intense as training camp. Training camp starts a little slow, but gets a little more intense. But because it's designed to take you from being a couch potato to back to your physical peak again, so that you can start playing this game and not injure yourself and not look like a fool out on the field. Because you can't play the sport that you were paid millions of dollars to play, right? You don't want to on the bench and then get kicked off the team, and then now you don't have your income. So think of right now, the habits that you have right now need to go to the side. You should go training camp. What I did for myself, I jumped in a short period of time from 5 to 6 grand a month and had a big jump in under 3 months.
That's amazing.
But what I did for 2 months straight is I spent a minimum of 2 to 3 hours a day reprogramming myself and only going through the type of material that was going to help me understand how the laws of the universe function. So I spent 2 to 3 hours a day in reprogramming myself. And then I was able to multiply my income nearly 10 times, or, you know, in under 3 months. So it was me going, okay, this is not my time to live my life the way I've been living it. This is my time to get my life on track, to decide what I really want, get that vision of my lifestyle, reprogram myself so that that's what's normal for me, so my subconscious will help me. And that's what ended up happening. Now, there'll be times in life where you do that. Like if I were to compare myself to Bob Proctor, I would put him on the level of, you know, the top like professional players on the planet.
Right.
I would put myself as like maybe the very top college player, because I'm still catching up to Bob. But you're in junior high, so don't worry about it. Right? You know, and besides, if Bob were training you, you would be paying
millions. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I can help you get to where you want to go. And I'm also headed in the right direction. And I've been living the way a lot of people would like to live anyway.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. I know I can't wait to work with you even more so. Yes. But thanks. I mean, that really helps with the visualizing and the 2 to 3 hours per day. I'm working on that. I've been doing,
That's
I've been trying to get.
What I gave you.
What was that?
That's why I gave you that seminar, because
yes, I know. And I keep telling my family, you guys, I have to get this done. But I'm, and like I said a couple of days ago, I am almost done. In fact, my goal is I'm going to finish it up today, along with the packet that you sent along too.
Awesome.
But thank you.
You're welcome, Michelle. I kind of lost track of time here. Any final questions or comments before we go today? Okie dokie. Well, Carl, I'll be giving you a call in a couple minutes, and then I'll check my email after that.
Can I say something real quick? Sorry, it's Michelle again.
Yeah.
Just to let everyone know. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows the story, or because there might be some new people on here. When I first signed on, was a couple weeks ago, I think now, Kevin, that I happened across these training sessions because I signed in to Meetup because I was doing something else. And I'm really big into law of attraction. I have been for pretty much my whole adult life. Even when I was a kid, probably not even realizing it. But I want to be a millionaire. I'm not even kidding. I want to be up there. I want to be college player too, like with Kevin. And it's something I've always wanted. And then when I went into Meetup, and the first thing I saw was Kevin's free classes, these sessions, these training sessions. I'm like, oh my gosh, no way. And I've always wanted to work with a coach, always. And like you've mentioned earlier, Kevin, about how, you know, you might have a little bit of money set aside, but that fear of, oh my gosh, I have all these bills I need to pay. I don't know how I'm going to replenish that money. And that fear, it is a real thing. My husband and I both have that fear, and we've had it for a long time, but it was just funny how everything just fell into place. That I am super excited and just so people, I don't know, is it okay if I mentioned that
Sure. Yeah.
I'm working with you. I made the plunge and let me tell you, it is scary, but after I'm just so excited, I'm not even worrying about that. I paid the money. I can't wait. I think Kevin's going to be awesome. And what's really funny is that I love Bob Proctor and I love Robert Kiyosaki. And I watched those videos, kind of like what you say, Kevin, the YouTube University.
Yeah.
Because that's all I can afford, or at least that's all I always thought I could afford. And I've always wanted a coach. I have always wanted a mentor or coach or work with someone, but I was always afraid to spend the money because I didn't have the extra money. And years ago, and we used to be so in debt. I mean, we couldn't even see clearly. It was so sad and scary and depressing because we couldn't even think of go out to eat because we had so much debt. And we're finally in a place where it's like, okay, we have a little bit of breathing room. And then all these things just fell into place. I found Kevin. He was coached by one of my favorite people, Bob Proctor. And I was like, oh my, all these things were lining up. And I just made the plunge. So maybe you guys should think about it, but I'm excited. I can't wait until we start working even more so in a couple weeks. Well, now in a week, I think, a little over a week.
I'll send you the endorsement check later today.
Yeah, this is unpaid, just so you know, everybody. It was just something I felt I wanted to share, and I'm just really excited. And I cannot believe I actually took this plunge, and I'm really excited that I did.
Awesome. Hey, and the material I got you started with so far, has it helped you at all?
Yes, it has. There's things that resonate with me, and I love Bob anyway, and you could tell he's just like, yeah, no holds barred. He's not messing around. And he even says in his seminar too, that if people are not, I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but basically if they're like, man, I can't do it or blah, blah, no, he'll drop them. He doesn't, he's not doing it for the money. He's doing it because he wants to help people. And he's so good, that's why he can command what he commands. But it has. There's a lot of things that resonate. And especially, I love his saying when he says, don't lower your standard of living, but bring your living to the standards or something to that effect. Yeah, I love that.
Well, what you don't know, Michelle, is some of these guys know, but you don't know yet, is the group coaching June 15th goes up to $10,000 a person. So.
Oh my gosh.
That's what most of my colleagues are charging right now.
Seriously? Oh my gosh.
And they're getting it all day. Well, the people I've helped out, most of them have added 6 figures to their income or better in less than 12 months. So
wow.
Why not?
Well, why not? Well, yeah, because it will pay for itself in the end. And that's what I think will happen here. So yay, I got in.
But it's $5,000 for the group coaching until June 15th. And then it's going to be $10,000 or more going forward forever.
Wow. Yeah, I got in at the right time. But and no doubt, as growing, I plan on having the means to be able to do it again in 6 months.
Awesome.
So, but thank you. So I'm excited, and I just wanted everybody to know. And trust me, this was not. Kevin had no idea I was going to say this. Everything just fell into place, and it just feels right, and I'm excited. So I know it's scary, but if you guys are thinking about it, maybe really, really make that decision.
Well, email me if you're serious. It is $5,000 for group coaching. That's what we're talking about. It's for 6 months. People have been getting phenomenal results now that I've coached for the last couple of years. So I'm more than justified in raising the amount of money, but it is going to stay what it is. And if you need some sort of payment plan for now, it would be $3,500 down, and then you'd pay $500 a month for 5 months, which would be a total of $6,000, which is still $4,000 less than paying 10, which is what it's going to be going forward.
Right.
So.
That's kind of nice payment plan.
Yeah, I mean, well, it costs more, but
right.
It's a possibility. It's not really meant there for a cushion. Because if you have the money and you go the payment plan, you're still telling God in the universe that I don't fully trust you. Versus if you haven't,
that's true.
You step out and do it.
That's true.
So, all right, everybody. This has been a wonderful holiday Monday, and I look forward to seeing everybody throughout the rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a
Thank
great day.
Kevin.